And here we are, setting up, final setup. This is probably my favourite part of setting up, is cutting the nut and getting the nut right. And what I need to be checking all the time is that the neck's as straight as I want it to be, which I've just changed. I've just altered that, so I've got just the guitar, the strings are now under tension. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the relief to a really, really small amount. And I would expect that to be about 0.2 of a millimetre at the 9th fret. I'll try with 0.25 and see where we are. And that's just right, 0.25 at the 9th fret, that's absolutely fantastic. So I can remove the truss rod. We've got the neck where I want it. The strings are up to tension. And now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be setting the nut slot height. And I've already started cutting the lowest E. And I would like to be, just for starters, 0.4 of a millimetre above the 1st fret with the strings, no pressing down anywhere. And I'm still a bit higher. I'm just going to check we're in C, tuned into C. Now I've checked at the 12th fret, but the action is about 1.7 millimetres. It is just under 1.7. Could go a tad higher, just for now. Just to get it up to 1.75, which is, to me, is the perfect height above the 12th fret. 1.75 millimetres. We are just slightly under that. I'll go a little bit more. And that should be just about there, I believe. And that is just about 1.75 millimetres above the 12th fret. So a tad under, about 1.7. What I'm looking for here is, I'm going to go with 0.4 millimetres. I can go lower than that, but I'm going to go with 0.4 for now. Once we get there, it'll go sharp. So we're still a little bit high. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my thickest file, 0.46. Now I know the string's 0.52, so as I come in, I just gently follow the groove, aiming backwards towards the tuner, following the grading of the nut. And as I cut in, I'm just going to go slightly left and slightly right, just to slightly widen that groove, just so the string fits snugly in there. And again, I know I should have put the phone on silent. Always small adjustments, we don't want to go too far. We've still got a bit of a ways to go, so don't take too much. It's the only advice I've got. And I would say that that is about there. 0.4 is a safe. Safe amount for now. We can always go a bit lower later. And we're just getting that buzz, which is brilliant. Ideally, we're going to come down to about 0.3 once everything's set. We're going to go 0.4, which is a safe amount for now. And I'm going to do the next 5 strings. And you'll see we're cutting right into the knot. We're getting right close. And the string is cut. What I'm going to do is, when I've got these knots, these slots cut to the depth I want, I'm going to remove the strings and I'm going to file the top of the knot until we've got basically these strings, especially these 3 strings, are half in. These 3 at this end will all be right in the slot, but these will only be half in, half out. So I like to cut a nut. So take your time doing this. It'll probably take me an hour to cut a nut properly, which is a good time. It could take me a bit longer, it depends. But at the end of the day, we must get this right because it is critical. We have the neck set how we want it with a tiny bit of relief. We have a bridge set, the radius set on the bridge. We have the action where I need it to be at the 12th fret, and then we cut the slots. Slots is the last thing to do. Once we've cut the slots, we can alter this to where we need it to be. We can alter the radius again, because this will drop a little bit lower. We'll probably get down to about 1.65. What I'll do then is I'll higher it slightly on the bridge, get it back up to 1.75. But it's critical we don't go too low on these. These ones are all super high. I must have dropped this at least a millimetre so far, probably a little bit more. Anyway, I'm going to just check my phone messages. and I'll come back, I'll show you one more nut slot that I'm going to cut, and then I'll do the rest off camera. So moving on to the next string. The next file I have close will be 0.036 of an inch. Why do we do this in nths of an inch? You know, we're not American. Anyway, I do have a complete, I'll just show the set. I have a complete set of POSCO nut slot files. And there is 2 cuts on each file, and this one, for instance, it'll be a 1st and 4th string, so it's a 10 and 26. This is a 3rd and 6th string, which is 0.017 and 0.046, and this is a 2nd and 5th string one, which is 0.013 and 0.036. So basically you've got a 1046 gauge from this side to that side, and if you're doing a 942, you just use these anyway. If you're going a little bit wider, like for instance we're going for a 1052, we just angle the file slightly in the slot, just to widen it a little. We don't want the slots pinching the strings, we want a little bit of movement in there. Sideways, a tiny bit, nothing that's going to flap about and go out of tune as soon as you put your string on it by going left and right, but something, you know, comfortable. We don't want the string binding in there. But anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move over to the blue one, which is for the 5th string and the 2nd string. 2nd string will be 0.013, 5th string is a 0.036, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to carve into the slot, and I'll move slightly left and right, just to get it a little bit wider, because we're going to go wider. It's 1052 set, it's going to be quite wide. It's going to be actually a 42 string that goes in there. I could possibly go with the 46 anyway, but I'm going to go with the 36 and move it along. So we'll make sure we're in tune. As we're doing a C major open tuning, that should be a G, and it is a G. And we're going to see how high we are. And I'm going to aim for something. I'm going to aim for 0.4 again on this, and it could be nearer 0.3 when I've done. I'm going to aim for 0.4 now, and we've got miles in there. We've got almost 2 millimeters to cut out of this nut. So we're just going to move the string over. I'm going to leave it under tension, and we're going to carve in. And we don't want to be digging into the guitar, and we don't want to be cutting into the fret. So we're going to be nice and steady. We're just going to follow the line. The line goes that way. Where the nut is, it angles toward the headstock angle, which is on the PRS, I believe, is about 12-14 degrees, is it? I don't know, I'll just be guessing. But anyway, let's make sure we're on the right cut, which we are, and we're going to cut in. And the cuts don't have to be uber straight, we have to be straight-ish. Let's be in, you know, within 1 degree. Let's not go mental here. What I don't want to do is go too deep, so we'll just do a little at a time. And then we'll drop the string back in. And we know we've lowered it down because we're now in almost G flat. It's always good to check, even though I know I'm a millimetre above where I need to be. And we'll come back again, and we'll just go in, and we're always measuring. Because there's been instances when I've cut too much, and then, you know, I've got to replace the nut, or you've got to be really deft, and you've got to fill the slot with a mixture of this kind of dust, which I have got a bag full of anyway, and some super glue, build it back up and recarve. But that is not the professional way of doing it. Ideally, you don't want to be cutting, filling in slots with super glue and some other substance. We're still miles away there. I knew that because we've already moved on the tuner. I always keep the tuner plugged in, just so I know where I am. And again, that looks uber low this side, but I know it's not going to be. But we are getting there. Tune back up to G. We're still half a millimetre out. But we're always looking to make sure we're cutting that slot more or less straight. We want it straight that way, and we don't want it going off at an angle, because we want to keep the string spacing intact. We're getting close now. Just a little more. Getting very, very close. nice and steady. I know we're getting close here. Beautiful. Now if I drop this down to a 0.3mm, we're going to be more or less where we want to be. I mean, I could go down as low as 0.25. There's 0.3, it's just about touching 0.3. Now some say you could just go with, if you press down on the second fret, if you just go with a sliver of paper, I'm going to rip some off a receipt here, as you do. Regular printer paper, whatever. If you go down to fret 2 and just put a sliver of paper in there, there should be no gap. And there is a gap, it's quite a big gap. Oh, hang on, no, that's pretty good. That's pretty good there. Will it hold the paper? I think it will, so I think that's pretty good there. So I think we're doing okay. So let's do another measure. A little bit sharp. We don't want no ring. If you get a ring, it means you've cut your slot wrong. It's not even. I hope you're learning something here, guys. I can go just a tiny bit lower in there. Get it right down to 0.3. That is as much as I want to go. Just ringing, that is perfect. Right, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 more to do. Once it's done, we're going to remove the strings and we're going to come and file across the top of this nut until we've got, basically, we've got maybe 2/3 maximum of this string inside the groove and 1/3 showing out at the top. These I will keep right at the top of the slot. So I'm going to crack on with that. I'm going to take my time with it, as I always do. But this is beautiful. I'm really, really enjoying this. So I'm going to crack on with that, get that done, and I will come back and show you the results a little bit later. I now have the slots exactly where I need them to be, and I'm going to show you how I gradient this from the string 1 to string 6, or the highest to the lowest. And on the lowest or the highest one, I've got this down to 0.2mm above the first fret, just under normal tension. Ringing nicely. I can't really get out of the way from where you are. I'm going to just basically place that there. See how we can do it. Just ringing on 0.2mm. The next one, 0.25. Now it's really difficult for me to show this without my hand in the way to where the camera is, but you'll get the idea. And I kind of gradient it up just a little. And here I'm going to go 0.25 on the second string. I'm going to try and keep my hand out of the way. I was probably just nearer, like the other one, probably nearer 0.2. But that is as low as I would want to go. Let me get 0.2 on there. It's probably because of the angle I'm working at as well. I'm trying to keep my hand out of the way. So 0.2 it's not ringing, it's just about ringing if I tilt it. So 0.2, 0.23. This one should be round about 0. The next two should be round about 0.3, and we should be getting a ring. So we're slightly higher over the strings because you get more vibration on a thicker string than you do a thin one. So I'd go round about 0.3 on the third string. Could go a little bit lower on that one, I probably will do. And same again on string 4. And on the next two, round about 0.4. I could get this as low as 0.3. I will tweak this slightly once I've carved the nut down a little. But let's go to 0.4. I do believe we're about 0.3 on the fifth one actually. .35, and this one should be 0.4. Definitely above 0.3. So we are going, we've got a gradient from basically 0.2 of a millimetre above the first fret to 0.35. I don't have a 0.35, so I'll go with a 0.3. That's about 0.35, 0.3, 0.28, 0.25, 0.23, 0.2. So we've got all the strings pretty close to the fret. Could go a little bit lower on this end. I'm not going to. That's going to be absolutely fine. So I'm going to. The guitar is going to be slightly sharp because when you lay guitar down, it just goes slightly sharp. So we're now just tuned more or less to open C major. All that remains for me to do now is to remove the strings, to go over to the other bench. I'm going to carve the top of the nut until we've got these strings just protruding out of the top of the nut, at least a third protruding out the top. These I'll bring to the top. So we need to remove around about, in some areas, maybe a millimetre from this side, maybe 3/4 of a millimetre from this side of the nut, just to shape it, get a nice shape on there. And then we can get, these are the old strings, then what we can do is we can put the new strings on and we can get this guitar set up properly. All it needs on now is the new strings, and then I can get it all boxed up, ready to go back to the owner. So that concludes this little part of showing you how to cut the slots in the nut. I hope you find it useful. We're now going to move on to shaping the top of the nut and then final setup. So I've just finished filing down the nut, and all I've really done is just remove material from the top and shape the edges, rounded them over, left enough nut slot for all the strings to go inside. These strings will probably just hit the top of the nut. The shape is beautiful. I've just sprayed a little bit of mineral oil in there just to lubricate the slots, but this is a self-lubricated nut. It's a good thing about Gravitech nuts. And I've rounded over these edges. The nut looks absolutely beautiful. It is a self-lubricating nut. I don't know what the composition is inside there, but I've also cleaned up the slots with, if I can find it, I'll put it back in the, no I have not. There you go. Using a welder's filing kit. And with just small rounded files, and all you do is just clean out the slots and just to shape them. And you will find one to fit each slot if you take your time. To keep them nice and clean, and we'll go again, blah blah blah, and that the slots are all beautifully clean now, and that knot is perfect. So I will just place a tiny bit of oil just over the slots, let that soak in there. I'm going to buff it straight off the top, leave it in the slots. Perfect, and that will help lube the strings, and there we go, we can remove the tape now. And that is the knot finished. All that remains for me to do now is to get back on the setup bench, get the strings on, stretch the strings, tune to pitch, or whatever pitch the owner has requested, which in this case is open C major, and that will be the guitar done. And it's been an absolute pleasure to work on this. It's an absolutely beautiful guitar. Once it's done, I'll pack it up back in a new box I've got for it, and I'll be shipping it out. It'll be going via DHL tomorrow on a 24-hour delivery, fully insured for £899, and it's cost £24 postage, which is fantastic. I don't ship a lot of stuff out because I don't get that many shipped in, but when I do get them shipped in, I take great care of them to pack them properly, pack them securely, double boxed. I get my boxes from Music Inn, which is a music shop in Mansfield. I'm good friends with Music Inn. They send me anything that is too much work for them, so anything that needs fret work they send over to me, because they only really deal with setup, so we've got a fantastic relationship. And when I ever need a shipping box, I'm able to just nip over there and get one for free. So it's fantastic. Anyway, I'm going to move the guitar back onto a setup bench. We'll get some strings on, finish the setup, and that will be that.